With just 4 days left to go, Vice President Harris is using the last few days to campaign through the critical swing states. Today, Harris spent the entire day campaigning throughout Wisconsin in an effort to reach out to voters, specifically union workers in that state, to make the case why they should vote for her. While Harris is in Wisconsin, she's got folks in Michigan at the same time making the case for her. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York and Shawn Fain, as president of United Auto Workers Union, which has endorsed the Harris-Walz ticket, are in Detroit, where they are speaking to voters today. They both join me tonight from Michigan in their first joint televised interview. It's great to have you guys on the program.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, it's great to be here.
First, just a Congresswoman, just like I've been doing this with everyone, just a vibe check for people. I've been in the studio, so I don't know what's going on. You tell me how it feels. I know you've been doing a ton of campaigning across the country. How are you feeling about things?
I mean, we know that this race is going to be very, very tight. But as I said, and as we talked about tonight at UAW, when it comes down to the margin of effort, I'm going to be on the side of UAW and working people every time. And so our side is working hard. Frankly, I'd rather be us right now, because we've got people who are really busting their behinds and knocking every single door out here in the city of Detroit.
You know, I was looking at data today, Shawn, about fundraising and spending, and I really think it hasn't quite sunk into people that 3 billionaires have given up almost $400 million, more than, if I've got this correct, all of the small dollar donations combined for Trump, to try to get him into office. And I want to play for you what one of them, Elon Musk, said about the living within our means and hardship that might be coming for people if Trump's elected. Take a listen.
We have to reduce spending to live within our means. That necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
Are voters and the workers in your union hearing that from Elon Musk?
Well, I think he's got it backwards. We've been enduring long-term going backwards for decades due to the same policies that Trump's a champion for. And you know, what you're talking about, the 3 billionaires that have, you know, given hundreds of millions of dollars to Trump's campaign, that's what this election's all about. You know, there's two very distinct differences here. You got two people in this race. Kamala Harris is one of us. She knows what work is. You know, she's worked at McDonald's. She didn't play dress up like Trump did. She's actually done it. You know, she's worked her way through the ranks. She's spent a lifetime serving people. Donald Trump has everything handed to him. He's a representative of the billionaire class. He doesn't give a damn about working class people, and that's what this is all about.
Congresswoman, sometimes it seems to me policy is sort of maddeningly remote from the discourse on the election. And there was a sort of amazing moment with a fellow member of the New York Congressional Caucus today, Brandon Williams, Republican, who's trying in a very contested race. The speaker came to his district, and he got asked about the CHIPS Act, bipartisan bill to put a lot of investment, including, I think, investment in that district for a big Micron new supercenter. The speaker says, I think Trump's probably going to try to repeal it, yes. Brandon Williams then has to get up and be like, no, we're good, CHIPS Act. Then afterwards, they have to put a statement out trying to walk it back. And I just thought it's so rare to see the actual policy here front and center in the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, the CHIPS Act is not a remote and far away thing for workers in Buffalo or workers right here in Michigan that benefit from the manufacturing plants and the jobs, and especially the union jobs that result and are created that people can actually take and will help them, you know, put food on the table without having to work triple or double overtime in order to accomplish that. And so, you know, some people may hear CHIPS Act or some kind of vague policy, but people in Buffalo, people in upstate New York, people in Michigan, they hear about the plant that they work at. And when you have the Speaker of the House, the Republican Speaker of the House, roll up to Buffalo, New York, and say, we are going to shut down the plants that give you all your jobs, you better believe people know what he's talking about. And what I love about it, and what I would like to thank Speaker Johnson for, is his honesty and his forthrightness about what they plan to do with a Republican majority in the House of Representatives. And I want everyone in Buffalo to know you heard it straight from the horse's mouth, and we'll see exactly what happens if we allow a Republican majority in the House and a Donald Trump presidency. Let
me just, in case people think that I'm misstating this, because they are like moonwalking away from it right now, let me just play Mike Johnson answering the question. Sean, take a listen to this.
The former president has said that he doesn't support the CHIPS and Science Act. You voted against it. If you have a Republican majority in Congress and Trump in the White House, will you guys try to repeal that law?
I expect that we probably will, but we haven't developed that part of the agenda yet.
Brandon Williams in the background going, bro. and this, Sean, this really strikes me as an important part. It really does seem like the Biden-Harris administration, if you look at all the policy, there really has been a focus on investment, rebuilding the country's manufacturing base, good unionized jobs. And the Trump agenda, as far as I can tell, is like an enormous amount of tariffs and tax cuts for billionaires. And again, does that come through? Like, do you feel like when you talk to the people that are members of your union that they're aware of that, or does that seem remote?
Look, we've been with our campaign we've been running for the last few months. We've seen numbers drastically increase. A majority of our members already supported Kamala Harris, but it's went up by over 20% just in the last month, because we're putting that message out there. And that's what this, again, Trump can't decide which side he's on. I mean, we know which side he's on, but he can't make up his mind. At the Republican convention, he talked about, railed against the UAW for allowing electric vehicles. But then all of a sudden, Elon Musk gives him $45 million a month, and all of a sudden, he's for electric vehicles. These guys can't decide which side they're on or what they believe. It's what people pay them. That's what's going to force what they believe. So, Kamala Harris and with the Biden administration, they've invested in this nation. Donald Trump left workers behind when he was president. He did nothing to stop manufacturing plants leaving this country. With the Harris and Biden administration, we've seen a bigger investment in this country in manufacturing than I've ever seen in my lifetime. So, they walk the walk. Donald Trump is all talk.
And I think we've seen that, too, with Elon Musk. I mean, Donald Trump and Elon Musk went live together on a stream and joked about how they were going, not even joked, they were very serious about how you need to lay off union workers or any worker the moment you even sense the fact that they may want to organize for better wages and conditions in their workplace. Elon Musk is a union buster and Donald Trump is a scab. And the two of them put together cannot be put anywhere near any sort of influence in the White House. And on the note of Elon Musk talking about how we need to live within our means, suddenly I find it very interesting that does not apply to him with the billions of dollars in government contracts that he seeks to secure for himself and the billions of dollars in tax cuts that he seeks to exempt himself from paying to contribute for everyday people's schools, roads, bridges, and more. And you cannot try to influence American politics if you don't want to contribute to the everyday lives of American people. And to Elon Musk, we have one message, which is get your money out of politics. It's no good here.
Yeah, I will say you can try. The question is whether you can succeed. That's what we're going to find out. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Sean Fade, I appreciate you taking the time on a very busy evening. Thank you very much.